Hey everybody, it's part two. I still can't get over the fact that Michael Jackson and Farrah Fawcett died in the same day. I just can't believe we lost two icons when it came to the music, and then one in the music industry and then one in the entertainment business. It's just kind of hard just thinking about that because these two were just so iconic. Michael Jackson when it came to pop, and then Farrah Fawcett when it came to TV. Like, Farrah Fawcett was just a TV icon, and it's just a shame. Like I said in my part one video of the Bash predictions, that this is just a shame that we lost two wonderful people who did a lot when it came to the music and the entertainment business, and then outside of the business, well, outside of their whatever problems they had, outside of that, they did a lot for that, and it's just a shame we lost those two. But I gotta get to this video because I gotta finish this video because I promised the part two for this video. We move on, like I said, moving on from John Cena to The Miz from the last video I was talking about. I'm gonna talk about the third match on here, which is gonna be the IC title match between Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio. Really don't have that much to say, except this should be one of your matches of the night, because you already know what you're gonna get with Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho. These two have had some wonders. These two had some good matches against each other. One was, I believe, on the Judgment Day pay-per-view. Then one was Extreme Rules, I believe, and then one was on SmackDown, I believe, a couple weeks ago. Well, on Raw, I believe it was last week on Raw. So really, I don't expect anything less between these two. I expect almost the same, maybe better type of match between these two, because these two just have some good chemistry, and it shows every time these two go up against each other in a match. And I really don't expect anything less between these two, and I expect, like I said, I expect this to be a show stealer and one of the matches of the night. And in the end, I was going to say Rey Mysterio, but since Chris Jericho just got the belt, I see Chris Jericho retaining, and thus setting up a match between one final matchup between the two. Well, no, this is a mask versus title match, so I really don't see the WWE unmasking Rey Mysterio. So yeah, I got to change my pick. I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio because I just don't see the WWE unmasking Rey Mysterio. But hey, the WWE might swerve us and have Chris Jericho go over and have Rey Mysterio unmask, and then we'll see. He'll probably be like what he was in WCW. But if WWE learned anything from what happened to Rey Mysterio in WCW, don't unmask him, because it was a bad idea when it was thought of, and it was a bad idea when they had him unmasked, because his career was never quite the same. Well, his wrestling ability was the same, but storyline wise it kind of wasn't the same Rey Mysterio. But anyhow, like I said, I'm going to change my pick, and I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio winning the belt, and thus I guess setting up one final matchup between the two at the next pay-per-view, Night of Champions. We move on to the next matchup, which is for the SmackDown Women's title matchup between Melina and Michelle McCool. This should be a good matchup if it's given enough time. If the WWE gives this match at least 10 minutes, or maybe like 9 or 10, 9 or 5, 9, 7 minutes. If they give that match enough time here, this should be a good matchup because you already know what you're gonna get with Melina. She's been improving dramatically, and every time I see this woman wrestle, Michelle McCool is kind of getting up there. She's kind of improving and been having some kind of good matches as of late. But if this match is given enough time, this should be a really good women's title matchup. But if this is your standard 2-minute women's title matchup, this match really, I don't expect it to be good if it's 2 minutes. But overall, if there's anybody I gotta go with in this matchup, I gotta go with Melina, I guess, retaining, and thus having another match with Michelle McCool, and thus Michelle McCool will win the title there at Night of Champions. So yeah, I gotta go with Melina. And like I said, if this match is given enough time, this should be a really good women's title match. But knowing the WWE, they'll probably screw that up and give us a 2-3 minute women's title matchup, and that's really something this division really doesn't need. Then moving on to the fifth matchup, which is the ECW Scramble matchup for the ECW title match. It's between Tommy Dreamer against Jack Swagger versus Christian versus Mark Henry versus Finlay. This should be a really good matchup. Not this should be a really good matchup. Not match of the night, but a good matchup since there's three guys on. There's four guys in this matchup that can go and can always put on solid showings and solid matches. And then of course you have Mark Henry, which have no idea why the WWE threw this man in this matchup because Mark Henry hasn't shown me anything, and he's just not a good wrestler at all. And they could have added Tyson Kidd in this matchup, or Evan Bourne for that matter, because in my opinion, Evan Bourne is a rising star. He's on the horizon, and they could have thrown him in this matchup, but WWE still has high hopes for Mark Henry, so they added him into this matchup. But in my opinion, this should be a really good matchup. I expect the belt to be traded back and forth, sort of reminiscent of what happened last year in that ECW Scramble matchup. Look for Tommy Dreamer to retain because it looks like the WWE is setting up a match between Tommy Dreamer and Christian. Well, setting a feud between those two for the next pay-per-view at Night of Champions, and I look for Tommy Dreamer to win when Christian has the belt, and then Tommy Dreamer just automatically rolls him up and becomes ECW champion. I see that scenario happening, but overall this should be a really good matchup, and I see Tommy Dreamer retaining his belt and thus going on to have a match with Christian, which seems to be the route that the WWE is going since they've been feuding with each other, and because they added Jack Swagger in their match last pay-per-view, and it seems that the WWE is going that route with the Tommy Dreamer Christian feud. We then go on to the sixth matchup, which is between CM Punk and Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight title matchup. Really, this should be a really good matchup because these two have some really good contrasting styles that can work with each other. And if you saw their matchup, their matchup, which was a really quick matchup against each other when Punk won the World Heavyweight title, these two had a really good matchup for that time that was given, and the crowd was sort of into it. And I really expect sort of the same thing in this matchup with CM Punk and Jeff Hardy tearing the house down. And this should be another match of the night because these two always have good matches, whether it's against other people or against each other, other people who have good contrasting styles. I expect this match to be a really good matchup. And in the end, though, I see Punk somehow winning with a DQ or some kind of a countout or cheat kind of victory, because it seems like the WWE is going to go through with this CM Punk heel turn, even though he's a tweener right now. But yeah, I see CM Punk somehow retaining his belt like a coward champion, like a DQ or some other kind of way, some other kind of heel tactic. I see CM Punk winning that kind of way, and thus setting up another matchup at Night of Champions between the two, or I guess a CM Punk Edge matchup at the next pay-per-view, which we possibly might see, but we'll just have to wait from there. But yeah, I see CM Punk winning and retaining the belt in that kind of way. And then moving on to the final matchup, which is for the WWE title matchup in a 3 stages of hell. The first matchup is a singles matchup, the second is a Falls Count Anywhere matchup, and the third is a stretcher matchup between Randy Orton and Triple H. Really in my rant, I already expressed how much I hate this feud and why I feel this feud needs to end. But other than that, this match could go 2 ways. It could be good or it could be bad. And when I say that, it could be good in a Stone Cold Steve Austin Triple H way. If you remember that, those two had a phenomenal 3 stages of hell matchup where they just beat the hell out of each other, and they just had a really good matchup in those 3 stipulations. Or it can be in a sort of bad kind of way with a Triple H Shawn Michaels matchup, which was, I believe, 2003, that 3 stages of hell matchup those two had, which really wasn't that good. There was some botches in that matchup, and the timing between those two in that matchup was way off. But it can go either way. But other than that, I'm gonna say Randy Orton's gonna retain, and this should be